Alrighty, guys. Hello and welcome back to the Canadian Bowler Podcast. Daryl, what's going on?
Luke, I'm having a good day. It's bright and sunny outside. Did some gardening and whatnot while I'm home.
Nice.
And the cat's sleeping up here, so everything's good.
It is crazy to think, though, we're sitting at home talking about bowls when it's championship season out there right now.
It is. I mean, I was just looking at the dates today, and yeah, right through all of August, through September, and even into October are all the championships, and we're missing out.
It's a little wild just to think about how quick the season went by when we weren't playing. I was thinking about that when you brought that up before the show. I said, "Wow, it's crazy that it's that time of year already."
Yeah. Where's time gone? Because I'm pretty sure that when I'm going through the bowling season, it just seems like it goes on forever, and I'm ready for a break at the end.
Absolutely, yeah, that's for sure.
And for you,
Well, before we get,
I just wanted to say, for you, the youth championships would have been in Peterborough too, right?
yeah, I would have been able to walk over to the club, win some games, hoist a trophy. So unfortunately, I didn't get to do that this year, and I won't get another opportunity to do that because it would have been my last year. So it is what it is, I suppose.
It is.
Alrighty. Well, before we get started, let's cover some housekeeping, Daryl.
All right.
Everybody, thank you so much for all the support. Please remember to hit that like button. I see we've got a few of those already. Comment down below and make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see every time we go live or a new video is posted. Don't forget about our Canadian Bowler After Dark show. It's not live on YouTube. It is live on Facebook, unlike this one. I don't know the next date for that one, but soon. And that's always exciting.
Yeah,
Daryl's got some nice apparel on today.
I thought I'd rock the shirt. I know Andy made it for us, and I don't think I've worn it yet. So I thought today was an appropriate day to wear it.
Yeah, if I didn't wake up from my nap 18 minutes ago, then maybe I would have mine on too. But this is what I fell asleep in, so this is what we're going with.
Well, Luke, I wanted to ask you a question.
Absolutely.
With everything that's been going on, we're kind of talking about the future, what this show is going to be, and the fact that, I mean, we've been going for months now, show after show. It's the 15th show of this. It's, I think, the third show of the After Dark, plus some other videos that we posted. Where do you see this show going? What do you want to get out of what we're doing here and the community at large as well?
Well, I know for this show, I really like what we have going on here, and same with the After Dark. I think everything that we have decided to do with that has been pretty good. I mean, I think for this show, it's been a little tough to create content and conversation just because this is a show that's solely built around lawn bowling and what's going on inside the bowls community over the course of a year. But like everybody knows, we've said it a million times, there's literally nothing going on. So there's not a whole lot to talk about. So today, I know this is irrelevant to the question. Today, I know Daryl saying he wanted to reach out to the chat and have some conversation with you guys and say what you guys have going on, something like that. And then I know our After Dark show, I really like where that's going, the direction it's going. I know we have some interesting ideas floating down the pipeline for that one. And I think that'll be really fun. And then I know I spoke to Daryl, and I'm going to put it out to the community today to see what everybody else has to think about it. I was thinking about having some sort of solo show where we talk. It'd still be under the Canadian Bowler banner. I think what I'd like to do is have some sort of live chat on Facebook. Nothing to do with lawn bowls. I mean, sure, we can talk about it if you want, but just a conversation with people, whether it's Daryl in the chat or my buddy Jason who likes to support us, or John, or anybody else who's watching the show. We can just talk about life, and everyone's got stuff going on. And if it's a place where we can all talk and try to help each other out, I think that'd be something that we all really need, especially at a time like it is right now. So just another idea. If anybody else likes that idea, hey, it'd be great, and just let me know.
I like that idea. I'll raise my hand. I think we both been talking about we've both been talking about having a solo show. Mine would be really geared towards the coaching aspect, where if I do a coaching corner on here, I can't really scratch the surface on a problem or an issue or a topic because I've only got 10, 15 minutes to throw a whole bunch of stuff at you. So if I do a solo show, I can actually talk about it. You can ask questions, I can answer those questions. And I really like Luke's idea of a solo talk of anything and everything. It can be bulls, it doesn't have to be bulls. It can be what's going on in your province, what's going on with you, and just have that conversation and connect with people and the community at large. And I think that's actually really important at a time like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to just put this out there as well. If anyone ever needs help or has stuff going on, just don't be afraid to reach out to whether it's us or anybody in your life. Just know it's a big help. So don't be afraid to talk to people about stuff. And that's kind of part of the idea of the show.
Yeah, we want this community to be connected. We want this community to grow. We want this community to be not just lawn bowlers, not just Canadians. We want the show to be worldwide. You know, people can connect to us. People can talk about bowls. The problems we have in Canada, the problems we have, whether it's bowls or not bowls, are no different than everybody else. It's just a different country, maybe a different set of rules, maybe a different context to that problem, but it's the same problem, no matter where you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Cameron says that he would love to talk to me any day. Well, I would talk to you any day too, Cameron.
Hey, Cameron's been a great supporter of the show. Great guest on the After Dark as well. I got to say that.
I've been really happy to have him on, and I've known Cam for a long time, and he's generally a pretty quiet guy. So when we had him on the show, and he did lots of talking and had lots of good points and lots of things to add to the show, it made my life a little bit easier. I'm sure everybody else on the show too. So thanks a lot for that, Cameron. I love to have you on there again.
And I was really pumped to have someone from the United States on, Patrick Duffy. Patrick, if you're listening here, if you're listening after, it was really great to have you on the show. You did an amazing job, really talked it up. And I think that's one of the things that Luke and I really want is that perspective from somewhere outside of Canada. You heard him talk about small numbers, slower greens, tough to get selected, tough to really get into those big events and understand what's going on. And you could take that and place it on Canada as well. And I'm sure if we went to and got some people from the UK, Australia, New Zealand, wherever it is, even some of the smaller countries, they would say some of the same things.
Oh, 100%. Bulls is an interesting thing. I know everyone talks about how crazy the Australian greens are and all the time, and how, oh my God, we play on slow greens here and you go there and they're 18 seconds. How quick were they when we went to Australia, when I went with you, Daryl? 12 seconds because it rained for 18 weeks straight.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I was actually surprised that they maintained like a 12, 13 second pace.
Yeah.
But I think it was just location. If it had been interior Australia, it might not have been the same. But being on the Gold Coast, they bounced back pretty quick. But yeah, it was 12 seconds. I mean, it was like coming off of the greens here and going over there.
It was quite interesting. So when I went down for that trip, I went down a week before my team. I went down with my dad and my uncle, and we went over to the club, and I really had no idea what to expect. I had heard tons of things about Australian greens and the bowls you have to use when you're over there. And I remember I go out and I roll, and I'm like, wow, these don't feel that bad. And then we played against played a little club match thing, and they're like, oh, our greens are pretty slow right now. And here's me thinking like, wow, these are fast for me, but these aren't crazy. And then we show up one day for the tournament when it started, and it had been raining like crazy, and there's water to the top of the backboard, like just a ridiculous amount of water on the green. We ended up getting moved out of there, and we went to an indoor. And the following day, we come back to the greens, and they're playable, but they were so slow. The greens were dead straight. It was probably the most interesting thing I've ever had to deal with in bowls, going from these big, wide, swinging 17-second greens to dead straight down the middle alley bowling in Australia.
That's yeah. Like we were saying, it's not as crazy as people say. I remember growing up, and I heard the stories that if you go down to Australia, good luck because you'll never be able to keep it on the green. We can handle our own. It's fast,
Yeah.
and it's an adjustment for sure, but we can handle it.
I thought the biggest, the kind of funny thing for me is I've been always told the same thing. Oh, it's going to be so fast, you're not going to be able to keep it on the green. And I remember I went out there and I rolled my first bowl, and I was so afraid of throwing it in the ditch. I don't even know if I made it halfway down the green. So they're not that crazy.
No, I think the thing that bothers us the most is more in New Zealand than in Australia. But when you hit those environmental things like the big gusts of wind, the extreme heat, that's what really plays on you, because we're not used to that here. The wind doesn't rip your bowl halfway across the green, but over there, a slight gust will actually move it a couple feet. So
Yeah. Or maybe here in Canada on the slower tracks, it's not really doing as much.
Another thing I wanted to throw out there, we're planning out our show, and we're planning out things in the future that hopefully once we can get it back on the green, we can do some stuff, we can grow, make some new shows, see what we can do with the brand, I guess. Countries are now officially shutting down a lot of their national stuff. Australia just put out that they're shutting down all their national competitions. Not their events so much, like tournaments and some bigger events, but their Australia-wide national competitions are shutting down. Countries are now planning out further. If you had a crystal ball and you, in I guess in optimistic terms for you, Luke, where would you like to see bowls in 10 years? Like
10
way
years.
down the line. Like next year, it's going to be a little bit of the same, but hopefully we get a little further. But 10 years down the line, where do you like to see it?
Well, I'd like to say, I don't know. Let's go 5 first. Just kind of take a halfway point. I think in 5 years, things are probably going to return back to normal, hopefully, or to at least close to normal than what we have going on today, with some sort of vaccine for this whole COVID thing. And then I think that happens, and I think we'd get back again. We could just get back to normal, and then maybe in 10 years, what I would like to see, if if anything's possible, I'd say I'd like to see bowls in the Olympics. I think that'd be really, really cool down the road. So at some point, I just think, the Commonwealth Games are great, but there'd be nothing more like going to the Olympics for bowls. And I really think if bowls was in the Olympics, it would skyrocket the popularity of the sport. I mean, maybe not to the point of like a hockey or a baseball or golf or something, but I think it would really help. Like there's a lot of things in the Olympics like speed walking or something, and I'm almost positive they have more athletes than lawn bowlers. So if we could ever get in there, and even if there's a little bit of TV coverage worldwide, I think it would help the sport grow a lot. And just being an ex national team athlete, and I'm sure you could probably speak for yourself. Like the goal for most people I know is, hey, I want to play in the Commonwealth Games. Could you imagine saying I was an Olympian?
That would be amazing.
I think that would be wicked. I know ever since I was a little kid, I've always said that. Like, oh, I wish it was in the Olympics. And then, hey, maybe one day. Who knows?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's one of those things. So when you're playing sports, you always think about being that guy. So like in basketball, it was taking the last shot on the championship game on the best team out there to win the NBA championship. Hitting that walk-off home run in the last game of the World Series kind of thing, right? In lawn bowls, it's the Commonwealth Games. You want to win that gold medal at the Commonwealth Games. That's the goal for every lawn bowler. That's the peak. You win either a World Bowls title or Commonwealth Games, and if you're good enough, you win both. But yeah, to be able to say you're an Olympian, that would just bring it to another tier, I think. And hopefully that would mean more eyeballs, possibly more money towards the sport as well.
And I think it's got to definitely be a possibility at some point in our lifetime that lawn bowls could make it into the Olympics. Because I know they added skateboarding to the Olympics for whenever the next Olympics are. I apologize. I think was it supposed to be this year?
2020, yeah.
Yeah, so I know they added skateboarding to the Olympics, and I think the last time they had like their little like poll thing of their committee of what the next sport that they're gonna add. I know like tug of war or whatever, rope tug or something was one of the ones that was gonna be put in there, and it's like, how is that almost considered a sport over bowls? Like, how do we not even make it onto the ballot?
No, exactly. Yeah, John was saying it was supposed to be in Tokyo.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We were talking about what was it, cornhole on After Dark?
That's correct.
and
Yeah.
how it's amazing, and darts as well. And I'm not saying that either of those sports are better and worse than lawn bowls, but I would say we're talking on the same level, right? We're not talking lawn bowls to NBA basketball where it's apples to oranges because they're completely different stratospheres. But to be able to get that kind of coverage, that kind of group of people at an event where it's darts, there's guys up throwing darts on a small dartboard, and the place is packed. There's no way. And lawn bowls could be the same thing,
Yeah, 100%.
right?
And it's, you got to look at it too. Like, what's our biggest sport that we're compared to? It's curling, and I know curling's one of the biggest draws at the Olympics, or especially in Canada and like the World Championships and the big Scotties tournaments and stuff. So like, I don't think there's any reason why. Like, it's definitely not has that definitely has the potential to get there.
It does. Yeah. Pat Voss from Alberta. Absolutely more money if bowls ever made it to the Olympics level, but there is a huge expense blocking the way. Fair enough. It's something to work on for the next 10 years, right? It's not something that you can just say, hey, we should be in the Olympics and it would be next year, but to actually set a goal of actually trying to be in there, I think Luke, you made a good point. That's a really good goal to have.
And I think we're kind of in a special space. Like, I don't want to speak for you, Pat, but I know a lot of expenses that goes into being an Olympian and having top tier athletes at the Olympics would be how much training you have to put in. We're kind of in a lucky spot in bowls. Like, Canada alone has proven it in the sport of bowls that we don't always have to train all year, and we can still hold our own against the world's best. So I know there's obviously more to it than the whole paying athletes and everything else thing, but hey, we got that going for us anyways.
Yeah. She just said you pay a fee even just to request consideration. It's true.
Okay.
I know World Bowls is working at it, and it would have to be a worldwide initiative. It wouldn't be just one country going for it. So,
Right.
yeah, it's always come down to money. We need money. We need money to grow. We need money to build stuff. We need money to attract people to the sport. Some people. So,
yeah. Hey, money helps.
It does. It does. I was thinking more practical. I'm glad you brought up the Olympics because that was a great topic of conversation. And my thought was, in 10 years, it'd be great in at least half the provinces to have an indoor facility, like a legit indoor facility.
I think that'd be cool. What, in your personal words, what would make it a legit indoor facility?
At least one full rink. It has to be legitimate size. So we've had some makeshift places with a couple rinks or two rinks or one rink, but it's never been legal size. It's never been either the width or the length, or the surface is a little iffy. It's always better than what we have, but never truly perfect or good enough.
Right.
PIBC, I mean, is a great example. It's I would say it's legit. It's not full. It's got 6 rinks.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Three
I
and
haven't
three,
been there in a while.
and it's playable. It's full. It's amazing. But I would love to see, just at least one full green. So 8 rinks at least that you can play on, and true full length surface running perfectly. That would be, for me, a really great starting point, because right now we've got such a short season. We've got weather that fights against us. We can't train during the winter as well as we want to. We can't train on surfaces that are perfect. We're still trying to ramp up some of those greens. Like, some clubs are great, but I would say the vast majority, and everybody can correct me or send me emails if you hate me for this, but the vast majority of clubs have bad greens.
Absolutely. And like, hey, again, if anyone wants to hate me too, you can go ahead and post it somewhere and give or whatever. But a thing that I've always thought was hilarious too, in a way, and I know my club has been guilty of it, and I'm sure yours has. When everyone talks about how good the greens are, say it. Let's just throw it out there and say, "Oh my God, the greens are so good in Peterborough," and then you show up and they're awful. I've always thought that was kind of a funny thing how that always happens. But hey,
Yeah.
I mean, to each their own. So
And in Ontario, we struggle. We hold a lot of events, whether it's district stuff. We we try to choose clubs that are good in the districts. We try to choose a rotation of clubs that are good in the province. So people from Ottawa aren't having to always drive down to the Windsor area or vice versa. But if you're looking to get like legit high caliber greens, good club, something that's gonna run at a top notch speed, there's not that many out there that you can choose from.
yeah, and like, um, yeah, again, like I would love to have great greens everywhere I went, but just from seeing how almost insane my dad went with the Peterborough Lawn Bowling Club when he was doing it, I know how much work goes into it, and I know how hard that would be, especially when I don't know, there's probably tons of clubs across the country where it's an unpaid greenskeeping position.
Yeah.
And like, unfortunately, as much as you love the sport, it's hard to sit out there in the heat, 40 degrees for 8 hours a day, and going back and doing all this other crazy stuff that people probably don't even understand about how much work goes into a green. So it's a little bit, it's tough to do that. And as rewarding as it would be to have great greens, I don't think I'd be going out there and working 40 hours a week for free.
No, and I get that. We at my club, I like to say we have good greens. They're not always great greens. We have our ups and downs, but the greenskeeper does a great job. We do have a paid person part time that takes care of it, which is a huge bonus for us, which a lot of clubs can't do. And the crew that goes out there and does it, if we didn't have that crew volunteering, the greens wouldn't nearly be as good as they are.
Right. I know John Siteman in the chat says that Calgary has a great pro crew who helps getting a good job done on their greens. What do you think it would take to have, say, any club reach a high caliber surface?
I think we need to start moving towards bowls as a business. We rely heavily on volunteers, and those volunteers burn out. They move on to other clubs. They stop playing. It's a burden. You have people come out and they pay. They want to play, and the first thing that they're hammered with is, well, we need help in the kitchen. We need help on the greens. We need help on mowing the lawn, taking care of the setting up for tournaments, all that kind of stuff. And it's just a list and list and list of stuff. Now, there's tons of great people that do it and do it all the time. I know at our club, we have like a handful of people that do way more than everybody else. And the fact is, we need to start getting to a level where we can actually pay people to take care of it. Where we can actually attract people to say, hey, come and spend an hour of your time, pay a little bit of money, and have some fun. You don't have to do anything else. If I go and play in other sports, I don't necessarily think about, oh, if I go and play some hockey, I need to go and flood the ice, every night and make sure it's good and flatten it and take care of the boards and do all that kind of stuff. It's, I want to go out and skate. I'm going to go and skate for an hour, pay my money, and then leave. So it's an interesting proposition for bowls where we do rely on our own people to do all the work.
What do you think clubs could possibly do to create revenue? I know we've touched on this in the past, and I said the thing about, like, I know in Peterborough, we're blessed with the clubhouse that we have, and they could definitely run it like a business where there's the big TVs, there's a bar, we have a full-size restaurant kitchen that I've never seen used. And there's all this other stuff, and it's just like, if they wanted to, there's no reason why they couldn't have people in for anything. Like I said before, like me and you are big UFC guys. Why not put the fights on and have people come in?
No, you're absolutely right. I'll just take my club for example. We got a bar a couple years ago, and from that point on, the bar has paid huge dividends to us. Whether it's at tournaments, just people hanging around the club a little bit longer, making it more social. So not only money wise was it good, but it was also good social. So people would actually hang around and talk and meet people and connect that way. So for me, it's having something, and I'm not going to sit here and I guess promote every club should have a bar. That's
Impossible.
here or there, depending on you where you are and what you can do. But the bars helped us, but having something that attracts people and keeps them there, renting out your place to generate revenue, using it for other stuff other than bowls. It doesn't always have to be bowls. Have other events. We've had corporate events in to bowl, but the big thing is that they just want to go out there, have some food, have some drinks, and hang out and relax and have fun. Bowls is third, fourth, fifth down the list of what they're actually there to do. It's difficult. I think there's just going to have to be a culture and a mindset change within bowls to really find that avenue to jettison ourselves up, because right now we're mired in sort of this traditional, this is what bowls clubs do, we rely on membership, we do this and that, and we don't have a lot of other revenue streams other than members, tournaments, and whatever. It's I don't know if I have the answers. I would have to think about that for a while, but it's a problem.
I'm curious what other sports were ever kind of stuck in the same rut as lawn bowls, where it's basically like, oh my God, this is an old person sport where there's no money and there's nothing. I'm not going to do that, or whatever. I'm curious what other sports or things like that were in the same space and what they did to get out of that, because there had to have been something else.
Yeah, I would think that curling would be in the same boat. They I don't know what propelled them from being sort of, the membership, having the club, doing the ice and all that, to having TV contracts, being shown on TSN, getting people from that, having big events and big sponsors like insurance companies and Scotties, and then eventually make it into the Olympics. It's quite a trajectory that they went on, but it wasn't always that way from my understanding. I don't know what we can learn from that.
Yeah, I know. Just from what I see, I feel like I know stuff like us probably helps. I think content is king in a lot of things, and if like whether that's people live streaming games or more podcasts or some fun, interactive, goofy comment content, I just think everything like that draws eyes to the sport. Like even if we're going out on the green and we're barely talking about bowls and it's going on in the background, maybe people are going to ask what is going on. That looks fun. I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, I think shows like what we're doing here, we've actually attracted a number of people that come on to the show or to the videos that we've had and say, "What is this sport?" Or "I've never seen this before. Why did this come up in my feed?" And that's what we're trying to do, is just get a few more eyeballs on this and show them what bowls is. Answer those questions. So if they do show up in chat, we can actually say, "Hey, this is what bowls is. This is what the rules are." Hopefully, we're not the oldest faces that you're going to see on the sport, but at least we can portray a little older in myself and a little younger in Luke, and say these are the people that play a lot of bowls.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like you said, people show up in the videos all the time. Like I don't know if you ever watched on Facebook or wherever they streamed to the World Bowls tour when it was going on. And there was always hundreds of people in the viewers, like hundreds of viewers. And then you'd see tons of comments like, "What am I watching? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? This is so weird. I've never heard of this before." Or I think there's a lawn bowling club at the community center in some random city in the middle of nowhere. And it's just wild how many people will come and watch it just because they don't know what it is. But I just don't think there's enough stuff out there.
No, and that's true. And in Canada, it's even less. I know if you go to the Lawn Bowls Australia Facebook group, you'll see stuff posted about clubs just streaming video of their championships, of their singles, of people playing. Now, we always have to put a caution out there that not every game is a great game. Not every game is super entertaining. But if you put enough out there, you're gonna get that gem. You're you're gonna find that those two people or those two teams that can just rock the place and make it interesting.
I guess another thing too is with you saying not every game is great. Look at that again. That Nick Brett clip. It blew up everywhere. Shots like that happen. Maybe not quite like that, but amazing shots happen all the time.
True.
All the time. And there's no like no one ever sees it.
Yeah.
So like even if people were just recording just for fun, those clips could come up very easily. Stuff happens all the time.
And that's no different in other sports. There's baseball games where I watch 9 innings and it's the most boring thing that I've ever seen on the face of the earth. But then you see a game where there's catches, pitches, hits, plays being made, and it's just super exciting. But it's not every game.
Yeah, 100%. It's just like baseball. If you're not a diehard baseball fan, like I'm not a diehard baseball fan. Don't get me wrong. I like watching a couple games a year. If I go to the Blue Jays game with Daryl and it's a nothing game to the ninth inning and it's a amazing pitching duel, sure, it's cool. Maybe someone's throwing a no hitter, but holy, is it ever boring?
Yeah. Oh, true. Absolutely true.
So, I mean, just like in any sport, that's not always great. Like a defensive hockey game might not be the most fun thing to watch in the world either. So,
oh, that's true. When hockey still had the trap going on and New Jersey was dominating, that was some boring hockey.
Score a goal and split the rink in half and pass the puck around for what, 2 or 3 periods?
Yeah, and then just pin it in the neutral zone kind of thing. It's just, oh man. I wanted to check in on some of the chatter here. Going back to the curling thing, John Seitman had said it was curling for a while until it underwent a major image change at the top level. They did a lot of TV, changing the rules to allow it to be watchable and regulating conduct on the playing surface. He said people literally used to smoke in the middle of the game and drink on the ice at the Briar. So yeah, it's like I said, I don't think they were always the TV Olympic kind of sport that they were. And I think that bowls might have to do something like that. Look for an image change. The traditional sport can still be there. The 21 point singles, the long games of fours, and you can put triples and pairs and all that kind of stuff in there. But how about another format, another thing that we can put out there that's a major draw, that's quicker, faster, funner, gets more aggressive, that kind of stuff. I think that would make it a little more entertaining.
Absolutely. And there's definitely things out there. People have lots of great ideas. Like when you look at the UBC and just other stuff like that, it's just like people love to watch it. It's exciting. It's entertaining.
Yeah, we've got
the BPL, the UBC. Yeah. I even know like just how they run their whole pennant system. Just being in Australia when I was there to watch it, and the big master board. It's exciting to see the scores go up, and everyone's into everybody's game, and it's just fun to watch.
And I'll throw this out to John, and he can comment on it. Is there anything in Canada that has a master board? From my knowledge, there isn't. I've never seen it. I've never seen a tournament run over a couple days where they had a master board, but John Seitman would know more than anybody, I think. So he's in the chat. Might as well ask him.
Yeah, I truly have no idea. I've never seen anything like that.
Cam says clubs need to find a way to make things more fun. We have an all men's tournament that every day I host one bowl and one in single knockout singles tournament. $5 entry, winner takes all. Biggest paying tournament in Nova Scotia for the winner. Everyone loves it. And it takes 15 minutes to run. So,
hey, well, Cameron, why don't you make it an open where ladies can play too, and then you would generate potentially double the revenue.
There you go. And our boy Jason, not a bowler. Just saying,
but a friend of the show.
Yeah, the clip was awesome, and he was talking about the Nick Brett clip. And I know a little about the sport, but he's learning a lot from us. So, cheers, Jason. Thanks for tuning in. John says, not particularly from what I'm aware. I know I've seen a few different formulas or formats where it's played similar to Premier Sevens, almost like the OPL does, but no masterboard format. Yeah, the OPL is the only thing I know of where we actually play in a BPL style format. It's not true BPL. It's not UBC. It's not masterboard. really. And I would love to see something, and it might not work right now, but hopefully in the future when we can actually start to raise that membership, where we have major things going on in province where it's like pennant, it's like club versus club, it's like team versus team, or we have interprovincial stuff where it's not nationals, but provinces can put in teams and people can compete either to get onto the provincial team, and then we can play like a World Bowls format where it's 5 ladies, 5 men teams, and you play all the formats, or you play a master board kind of thing, and it's like a Premier League. Like there's so many things that we don't do as a country.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, John. I must have misread Cameron's comment, but I do understand now. My apologies. Do we know anything about the Phoenix Bowls Championship? I know that was supposed to be something new. Did they ever release a format or anything, or was it basically just a name and a sponsor and nothing's happened because of the whole COVID?
I know nothing happened officially because of the whole pandemic. It kind of shut down before it got started, but from my understanding, it's a UBC format. So off the top of my head, I can't tell you what the scoring system is for the UBC because it's very, very different than any other Bulls format. But I believe the Phoenix one that was going to start up in Ontario would be the first one to use that format.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen, I guess, the UBC format used anywhere else was when we did that little fun thing last year. I had, I don't even know what club it was at for when Eric was going away.
Port Credit.
Port Credit, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was just like a little trial and a little taste of what it's supposed to be like. So I think it's that format where it's touchers count for points. So if you touch the jack with your bull, even if you drive it into the ditch, that kind of thing, it counts for a certain amount of points. If the lead if your lead is shot, when you switch over, I think there's points associated with that. There's a whole bunch of scoring categories, and I was confused enough when we were playing it that just trying to keep it in my head, but
yeah, I was just rolling bowls and letting Rob keep the score, so I didn't have to worry about it too much.
That's right. It was fun though.
It was fun.
It's
definitely interesting.
John saying, I'd love to almost see an OPL style of competition in all provinces heading to a national event, almost like a Canadian side. That'd be really cool to see.
That would be interesting.
It would be. Our issue in Canada is just a short season. We pack so much stuff into April and September, or August to September, I mean. Like right. This, if I'm bringing up Bulls Canada 2019, we had the youth championships in the first week of August. We had the Canadian fours and pairs from the 20th to the 25th, the singles from the 26th to the 30th of August. Senior triples was the second week of September, as well as the mixed pairs, and then the indoor singles was in October. That's a lot of stuff back to back to back.
Yeah, it's like if you can afford to do it all, you're basically writing off a month and a half.
Yeah, exactly. I had a question, or two questions actually, that came up on, I believe it was Instagram. John Aveline, who's out in BC, he saw that we wanted some questions, and he threw out two. One of them was, do we know when the very first Canadian Championships was ever played?
John, when was the very first Canadian Championships ever played? I have no idea.
I don't either. I had to look it up, and I don't even know if this is the correct date because it's not like what I would say is like a lock for a reliable source. But we'll see if John actually says anything, and with that, yeah. The other question was, would we ever see Ryan being a candidate for the Order of Canada? So the Order of Canada is kind of like in other countries. People of certain professions, sports, avocations, they get basically this Order of Canada, which is one of the higher awards you can get for being excellent in your field or other great things that you do to it. So the equivalent in other countries is MBE for England. So you've got like Alex Marshall MBE, Paul Foster MBE, Andy Thompson MBE. Those are guys that are top of the Bulls area, and they've been awarded that medal from their country. and I think I want to say OAM is Australia. So like Kevin Kirko, Steve Glass, and those guys have the OAM tag. Would Ryan Bester be a candidate for Canada?
I think it's hard to say no. It's hard to say no to that one. Like I said in previous shows, I think almost everybody growing up in the sport of bowls in Canada, your idol's Ryan Bester. He's arguably one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. Not even just in our country. I think definitely in our country, in my personal opinion. But he's one of the greatest players international on a massive scale for so many years, and it's been crazy to see how long and how consistent he's been right there at the top. So I think it's hard to say no.
Yeah, I would agree with you as well. I don't know what the criteria is for the award, but I think if it's an equivalent to those that are given out in other countries, and we see bowlers of pretty much the same caliber within their country are getting them, I think Ryan is definitely deserving of it. And that's before everybody jumps on and says, yeah, well, what about all these other great Canadian bowlers? This isn't a knock against other great Canadian bowlers. There are so many in the past that have been fantastic, grown the sport, and been great ambassadors. We're just talking about to right now, and someone who's actually bowling right now and doing great things.
For sure.
Always got to throw out that little asterisk so I don't get flamed later. So John didn't get back, but I'm going to throw out this date. So the date that I saw, I think it might have been called the Dominion Championship. Okay. I heard it. I read it was. What was it? 1954.
Do you think it was that late?
I think it might have been. There was a Dominion lawn bowling tournament in 1892, and I don't know if that would be sort of a pseudo Canadian championship because there wasn't really any other organization in Canada.
Right.
From everything I read, and I read this whole article on the history of bowls, which was long. There's a lot of other things that kind of folded into one another. Like there was like a Canadian ladies lawn bowling council, and then there was a Canadian lawn bowling council, which was the men, and they all kind of all these organizations eventually melded and got together, and then eventually Bowls Canada was struck as the major lawn bowling national organization, and that was only 1999.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it was Lawn Bowls Canada before that, I believe.
Okay. No, I have no. I mean, I guess I'll have to say you're probably relatively accurate on that one because I have no information. I have no idea.
Well, the same thing happened in provinces. OLBA was a men's and a women's organization in the past as well. So it's a weird. I guess it's not too weird compared to other sports because you look at things like football where they had multiple organizations that eventually all melded into the NFL, and they still kind of hold those divisions open.
Right.
You know, it's interesting.
There's still bowls organizations around the world that are still split men's and women's, which I thought was very odd when I learned that for the first time.
Yeah, some countries still hold that division, and I don't know if they like it so much, but that's just kind of the way they go.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it could almost just be a tradition, and it's just the way it has been for so long. Like, why would we change it? I'm not entirely sure on that either.
No, that's true. So speaking of 10 years, so we talked about indoor, we talked about money and some other formats that is there anything else that you could see into the future that you'd like to see happen to bowls?
Ooh, I'm not sure, Daryl. What about you?
I would like to see us hold an international competition
In Canada?
Yeah, like the NAC, I'll put it in air quotes, is an international competition because we have US and Canada, but I would love us to be at a level with good greens, good facilities where we would actually entertain holding. I mean, we've held Commonwealth Games, and that's just a big citywide, province-wide kind of initiative to do it, and we build and have lawn bowls. But as far as something like a World Bowls, we haven't run Asia Pacifics or even an invitational like the U.S. Open, where it's massive and people come from all over and play. I would love to see something like that in Canada.
So basically, what you're saying is you'd like to see something on the larger scale than an international friendly.
Yeah,
Right.
basically something that's just bigger than anything we've seen in Canada before.
Do we have any clubs? I mean, I'm gonna have to go with probably the Commonwealth Club, but do we have any clubs in Canada that meet all the requirements of hosting a World Championship?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's I think you have to have at least 4. What Brad Beach had 4.
That's correct.
So we've got Regina, Commonwealth, and Juan de Fuca. I think those are the only 4 green clubs in Canada, I want to say. So those are the only 3 that would currently under that format be able to actually host something.
I feel like there's also some strange rule about having to have like change rooms or something along those lines as well.
Very possible.
But
And,
I mean, I'm not entirely sure.
And I don't know if all the clubs meet all those requirements, but
Right. I feel like the Commonwealth one in Calgary or Edmonton, wherever that is, I feel like that one's got to be the closest if it doesn't meet all the requirements.
yeah, probably.
But I'm not sure.
But that would be kind of my only other thing that I could see is just a great thing to have in the future.
Yeah, it'd be wicked. It'd be really cool. It would draw a lot of people. I think people from all over the country would come to watch.
And I'd like to be a professional coach.
Do it.
I'll tell you, I love my job. My job's been great, but if I could do the coaching side full time and not have to worry about my mortgage, then I would do it.
I was just going to ask you what would classify you in your words as a professional coach? Because, I mean, technically, if you're making any sort of income, you're a professional coach. So
I'm making a very meager living on coaching right now. And that's fine. It covers expenses. It does what it needs to actually keep me going. But in order for me to be to feel like it's a professional gig, it's something I can do, I'd want to do it full time. And
I think you should take the John Tortorella approach and just be a crazy man. I think maybe it'll work out.
Don't do interviews. Cut people off. Be angry all the time. Sure.
Just throw things.
Oh, that would be great.
The next time you're at an event and someone makes you mad, just huck a bowls bag onto the green.
Just start throwing the equipment.
Throw a bowl through a telephone in the dugout or something.
Oh, perfect. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about today was the growth of this channel. And I wanted to tell everybody that we hit a milestone on our audio podcast. We hit 250 downloads
which is incredible.
Which is awesome. We've had some great feedback on streaming on Facebook for the After Dark. Hundreds and hundreds of views on every single stream that we have there. And the YouTube channel is like 415 subscribers right now, something like that.
416.
And our goal is to get to 500 right now. So we are getting closer and closer and closer. And for everybody that's in the chat, for everybody that watches this video afterwards, thank you for your support. And please share this with people. Let them know it's out there. If you really enjoy the content, tell people about it. We do as much promotion as we can, and we tell people, we share it on our Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. But without help from our community, from people sharing it around, it's still going to be a struggle.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's great, the growth we've had. It's like, I know we've talked about this before, Daryl, and it's like when we kind of started, we're like, well, maybe somebody will watch. If nobody watches, it doesn't really matter. We're doing it for ourselves anyway, so it's just crazy to see how many people we've actually been able to reach just over this little adventure. So
That's right.
It's exciting to keep on going.
As you can see, my cat's excited. She's shifting around a little bit.
I don't think I've ever seen her move.
She usually stays asleep. That's that was our first fan. And she stuck around, so hopefully the rest of you do too.
Do you have anything else today, Daryl?
I don't think so. I think that's good.
The only thing I want to put out to the community is before we sign off. What do you guys think about the time that we're doing the show? Is 6 p.m. a good time, or is that too late? Did you guys like it better when it was in the morning? I know my work schedule will slow down a little bit, so we could probably go back to that if people liked that better. I think our viewer numbers haven't really changed a whole lot between the times. So yeah, guys, just let us know what you think and what you would like to see coming down the pipe. We're always open to suggestions.
Yeah, and there's been a few people that have said segments that they like, things that we talk about that they like, that they wish we talked about more. Doing analysis, doing game breakdowns and stuff. It is very difficult to do some of that stuff, especially live. But we will be trying to get back to some of that stuff that you guys really like. And please comment, email, shoot us a DM, and let us know what you like, what you want to see, and who you want to see on the show, because we'll try to get some guests that you guys really want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have. I don't know if we have one lined up, but I know the next show we should have some sort of guest on it.
Yeah, we will. It's been a nice break. We don't want to just drain our list of guests and people that we know right away. And we think that these discussions that Luke and I have, that we have with other people on After Dark, are just as interesting as well. And we like to have those chats, just the two of us.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Well, I guess that's all I've got for today, Daryl. So I guess we'll sign off.
All right.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks again for tuning into the show. Remember, everything's down the bottom. Like, subscribe, click those links, and follow us on Facebook and everywhere else. Thanks a lot for all the support. We really do appreciate it. And I guess until next time, guys, I hope all your bowls are touchers.